Better than nothing. My kid would want it. Oh my gosh, look at you all.
You can have the iPad. I think that's the best.
Yeah, no, that's the best call.
I left it out of your
Oh,
range.
look at that. That also looks fancy.
Got them all trained on us.
I know, seriously. Right.
So for those who aren't American enough, can you guys introduce yourselves?
My name is Matt Weitzman. I'm one of the co-creators and showrunners of American Dad.
My name is D. Bradley Baker. I'm Klaus, a fish in a bowl.
Your voice is so resonant.
Thank you.
Not very German either.
Just kidding. I'm busy.
You actually speak German, do you not?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I speak German a bit.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's not a German
good
word.
enough.
I made that one up.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you speak terrific fake German.
Glattes Eis, ein Paradies für den, der gut zu tanzen weiß. That's Nietzsche. Isn't that fun?
That is great. I just can sing Edelweiss. That's about all I can do.
So can I ask you, as showrunner then, do you guys ever have a joke in the script that even you guys go, no, we can't, it's too offensive?
Well, I remember way back when we once had a joke about not Principal Lewis, but Patrick Stewart, who's the head of the CIA, having a thing for little kids. And he actually was the one who would not allow himself to say that. So apparently our monitor is kind of off.
Yeah.
But no, we've had times when we know to cross, not to cross the line. We have the line has kind of been pushed forward now that we're at TBS because they allow us to do a little bit more.
Right.
But all in all, we monitor ourselves some.
Right.
Now,
Enough.
Can I take a follow up on that question?
Yes, that'd be great.
With the Patrick Stewart thing, so was it because he personally felt uncomfortable?
He personally felt uncomfortable.
Or it wasn't because he felt the character wouldn't say it?
I think that it's part and parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
He is an advocate
fair.
against abuse, so
Yeah.
that would kind of make sense.
Oh, is he an
Not
activist?
child abuse, but domestic abuse, yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So into that question, what's the favorite? What's the best thing for you that you've had Patrick Stewart do?
Best thing we've had Patrick Stewart do.
For the show or just
Table read.
Well, honestly, I mean, yeah, he's done a table read.
That's the best.
The biggest compliment I ever got was that Patrick Stewart was grateful to the show itself for opening the door to comedy for himself, because he never considered himself a comedic actor, and being on the show showed the world that he has these amazing comedic chops that even he, I don't think, was aware of. So I think that's the best thing that I ever heard him say. Other than any particular episode, what did he sing? There's a song that he sang when he was sleeping with Haley in the very first season.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I love little girls. They make me feel so fine. Yes, by Oingo Boingo.
The electrolytes
Yes.
line too.
Yes, all my life, right, in your daughter.
I love
Yes.
that he was like the on-camera host of American Dad.
Oh yes,
Right,
when we
it was
did the play.
Masterpiece theater type thing.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes. No, and he loved doing that. So we were very grateful to have him as part of our ensemble, and he's been amazing. And
What a generous,
very,
sweet fellow.
very happy to do it, and he'll do.
No
He'll
pretense.
really do, except for what we just talked about. He'll do pretty much anything.
Was he your first pick?
Yeah, I'm gonna give that all to Seth. Seth
Yeah.
had the idea of making Patrick Stewart the head of the CIA, which blew my mind because, the logic part of me says, how can we have this British man being the head of the CIA? But it worked, and nobody really has asked the question.
It's great how logic. You just don't have to pay attention to logic for things like that.
Thank God. 'Cause there are so many logic bumps in our show.
Yeah.
For instance, in the beginning of the show, I think I've said this, in the 11 years that we've done the show, things have come up, but even Roger himself, he was never intended to leave the house, especially in the first year.
Right.
He was always expected to stay in the house like Alf, and then we discovered, putting him in a wig and, give them a little bit of an accent or something, and suddenly the world says, "Oh no, I don't notice you have no nose," and you have 3 toes. But it's worked.
But how can I mean you can't know that stuff ahead of time?
No,
Can you?
no,
You just put it on its feet and said, "Oh, I guess that's not really an issue."
no. Right, exactly. As long as we buy it and we can justify it, I think that the world goes along with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that you just don't have to explain all sorts of things, and it's okay.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, going to those crazy places is what we do, and everybody's kind of come along for the ride.
Can you guys talk a little about having the show retain its edge over such a long time? Because, you know, newer, edgier, raunchier shows come out later. The Simpsons, for example, was really kind of subversive when it came out, and American Dad and Family Guy kind of took over that mantle.
Well, I mean, I originally came from Family Guy, so we were ready to do that kind of show, and you know, we still always wanted to be that edgy show. I mean, we always had a darkly optimistic point of view of the world. So, with that in mind, you know, that's where all of our stories kind of came from. As far as the world, I'm not quite sure I understand. The question is how do we maintain our edginess, or how does...
Well, how do you keep the same tone with the show when newer shows come out that are edgier still? Are you tempted to raise the bar?
I don't think that. Yeah, we can't compare, because once you start looking at other things, then you lose your own focus.
Sure.
So we just kind of kept on doing what we thought was best for the show, and sometimes you lose your way, but you kind of regain what your destination is, which is always to come up with a funny, heartfelt show.
Yeah.
And so far,
See, that's what's key to me is that the heart is affirmed. The heart part, the family part is affirmed. It's not just about obliterating all of society and making fun of reality and pulling everything apart.
Right.
But in
There
the
is a
end, it
love
all
for
comes
each
back-
other.
Yeah, it all comes back together.
Right. I mean, as misguided as everybody's techniques are, the goal is to show how we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And
To me, that's why you care about the characters, and that's why you come back and watch the show again and again.
Right.
That's what I think, anyway.
yeah.
So there's kind of a central kernel, I guess. This is what Family Guy feels like. American Dad feels like. And you stick with that no matter what else happens.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, otherwise, and we do become lots of shows that are all about that edge and don't come back to the family, because I think that those end up, you watch those shows and you don't care. And if you don't care, then why are we here?
Yeah.
And with 200 episodes, do you guys ever go, did we do this joke already? Maybe in season 1 episode, or the storyline? Yeah.
No, I mean, you end up, repeating yourself in some ways. You end up using one character with another character, and it might have been a similar storyline.
Right.
But we try to. The goal is to come up with new and fresh ideas
Right.
as much as we can. We have a new set of writers that. One set of writers were there for about the first 8 seasons, and then the show was not going to get picked up, and people had to, get real jobs or get jobs on other shows.
Yeah.
And so we, brought another crew in, and luckily, we had enough people who had been there from the beginning, and so I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry. But that's what, in my mind, is kind of a blessing that we kind of always kept the show fresh, because we have new people with new life and new perspectives that we didn't have in the beginning. But we had this base that we all knew, okay, this is the kind of show we want to do, and the new people had to kind of adapt, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time.
Right.
But all in all, I think that we're mostly the same show that we were for our, first 200.
Yeah, and it feels that way in a good way. It could either, from an actor's point of view, that could either come to feel like, God, the show started as one thing, and then it became this whole other thing, and I don't even know what we're doing now. And it doesn't. It feels like you're saying, like it kind of was where it started. It's refined, and it's like there's new manure that's added to the garden.
And speaking of, and honestly, it's as horrible as it's going to sound, you're part of that manure. I mean, you are one of these characters who, in the
Are
beginning,
you saying my performance is shit? Is that what you're saying?
in the best possible
In the best
way.
part, okay. All right.
But in the beginning, people were like, "Oh, I'm not quite sure about Klaus," and and so we had a version of Klaus in the beginning, which was kind of lascivious, and then then he played a much more minor role, and the new group of writers have embraced Klaus much more fully, and so that's why there's a lot more love and a lot more parts for Dee and for Klaus to play in our world. Whereas if you notice in the beginning, he wasn't there so much, but now he has much more full stories, and there's a lot more love for him.
Last question.
Having done both Family Guy and American Dad, one very gag-based, one very story-based, do you think are these two different audiences watching the shows, or are these just two different pleasures? And how do you then address either the different audiences or the different pleasures?
That's a good question. I guess I would think that it's the latter. It's two different pleasures. I mean, you can't have all of the same. You can't have dessert for your meal and dessert. You need two different flavors. And the show, we discovered that we had to, be different from Family Guy. I think that also there's a degree of maturity that your audience gains as time goes on, and whereas you were just in it for, the laugh, as time goes on, you kind of want a little bit more on your plate. So I think that we've been able to offer that to some of our, audience that, they want it to be funny and kind of gaggy, but they also want it to be a little bit more grounded. And again, it comes back to that heart thing. You want to be able to connect with your show. And as long as we keep on doing that, I think that we can keep the Family Guy audience as well as have our own.
Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Klaus.
Congrats. Yeah, thanks.
I'll feel the same. It's next to small.
You can say anything with a laugh. Actually.
Right, hi guys.
Hi.
Sorry about those guys.
Let us clear
Kevin's
up what
coming
they
over.
meant to say.
Yeah, you get three of us in this one. Come on. Yeah. Come here, buddy. Move that in. Good, yeah.
You want to sit next to Scott?
Look, guys, I think Matt left one of his hair. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Thanks, bud. What is that?
Process of elimination.
All right.
Man, go right on, dude.
All right, bud.
Good joke, kid.
This is with Fox. I can't have a Marvel thing.
And as Phil Lamar, I say Donald Trump should get his ass kicked. Never mind. I'm not Phil Lamar.
So what do you guys think it is about the show that's made it so enduring and lasted this many episodes?
Kevin Michael Richardson.
I'm sorry?
100%. It's him. I think it's just grown. It's still crazy. It's still nuts. The writing's amazing. I always have to give it to the writers because they do way more stuff than we do. They sit in the room, they do the color, they do the animatics, they do all this stuff, and we just go in and do the voices, and we never get to see this beautiful process.
Storyboards.
Yeah, and I also think, and I'll say this because I thought of this today, we read these scripts and we go, oh my God, how are they going to get away with that, right? Imagine the things that didn't make the script. What that writer's room is like. They could be arrested in
Oh,
that.
the things they held back on their own?
Back, yes. So it's things like that. It's pushing the envelope without it being stupid. That's what I think. Anyway.
I think it's because the show's about something too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's always this kind of little moral. I mean, we go to the moon and back to get there.
Yeah.
But, whether you realize it or not. I mean, at the end, it's like they've learned something. Not that it ever lasts, but
No, right?
but the show is usually about.
It is.
Some-
It always reminded me of, I think people in my generation anyway loves 80s sitcoms, how at the end the music and a nice message and stuff. And we do that. We do it as a little bit of a joke, but it still is a message.
Yeah.
And Steve always has a line at the end. It's like, you know what, Dad, you are right. You're right. Women shouldn't be. Whatever the thing is. And I love that. I think people reminisce about, because that doesn't exist anymore, those
I'm
those
sorry,
sitcoms.
Stan. You
Yeah.
were right. I know.
Stan's always right, though, at the end.
No, what?
What is that?
Success.
Yeah.
Do you guys get any room to improv? I guess you got to do all that before the animation starts.
No. You do?
No, I mean,
I even ask him to put a handle, it's like if you go, at the beginning, or well, or something, yeah.
yeah, no, I like to add, like, if the line is, and he's nervous, I'll add the stutter and some little ands or buts and ifs and stuff, but the writing's so good you don't really have to. You just do it to bridge, you guys know, to bridge lines together, maybe throw in something, they never really mind.
It's a little different, I think, from the table reads than it is from the actual record, because the table reads, you want it to flow and goes, through, so they know what jokes work and what don't.
Right.
And when you actually get in there to record, then if you want to throw in the ad lib and stuff, and they like it, they'll a lot of time will keep it.
Sir,
Yeah.
would you mind if we?
Yeah. But you're right, the
Right.
table reads, they write it, and they want to hear exactly how that thing sounds, and if the joke doesn't work, you want to.
Or if we don't sell it.
Or if we don't sell it, yeah.
Yeah.
I always sell it.
Cut a
Do you, in the animated world, it's different. You're not Chad McCann.
Yeah.
Steve does
Hey!
All right. Steve will be perpetually 14
Yeah.
and so on. So do you feel there's less room for your character to grow, or more? Because there's no real confinement.
That's a really
in the animated
interesting
world.
question.
You're the only kid here, so.
Well, no, like she's saying, like,
You won't get
because
to
I'll
see
always be
drive
14.
or get
Right.
married, or you know what I mean. So
You can explore
Yeah.
more of being 14, I
He's
guess,
never going to have
right?
sex either, obviously.
Yeah. Well, no. Well,
Or even
that's the
boobs
other
for
thing,
that.
though. There is. You're right, because if Steve ended up having sex, then we couldn't write about that.
Now the
anymore,
show
right?
be over.
right.
And the show would be over. Steve or Scott? Who are we talking about? Steve. But you're right. But I've never ever felt that hampered any growth of character. It's It's interesting though. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even.
Did Chad
Francine.
McCann end up having sex? No.
I don't know. Probably. Maybe.
Well, we're all
the same,
adult
like-
characters, so,
But still, I mean,
we're adults for a long
Yeah.
time.
Do you feel it stalemates you though? I mean, unless you do a flash forward where Francine is.
Which they do all the time.
Yeah.
Forward, back.
No, and at the beginning, we thought we were going to be sort of political, and there was a George Bush episode and that sort of thing. But I think they quickly realized that by doing that, you date the show, and you age it. So. With him being a kid, that's one thing, but for the rest of us who are adults, it's just, whatever's happening next,
So it's been a while since you guys have been on your new network, and aside from the swearing, what has been the difference, do you think, in the show as actors when you get the scripts? Have you noticed anything?
No,
I mean, to talk about your character for a second, it's a great answer. It's not like what they allow a principal to get away with on TBS wasn't allowed on Fox for a multiple amount of reasons. Fox might want a principal to be a little bit more principally. And is that right? Is that a real word?
Principal.
Somebody pull up the Urban Dictionary.
So I've seen his character go off the
dear
freaking charts.
Lord. Yeah,
What he, I mean, I think not to talk. I
there
don't
was
think.
drug use, wasn't there?
No comment. But yeah. I mean, there's no way a black principal would get away with a quarter of the things Principal Lewis did. We're talking about drug cartels, trying to take over the world.
There's a bit of homosexuality.
Selling his buttocks on the street. $10 for I forgot what to see the butt. 20 to see his junk. It's just there is no limitations to where they had him go. So now, who knows where they're going to.
So you clearly enjoy what's being done.
I enjoy his butt.
Do you enjoy it? How do you feel about it?
That he enjoys my buttocks? I'm flattered.
So they allow, and I've always been a big fan, even if they bleep it. I love the bleep.
I love the bleep.
And I love when they let us say a swear word. I just always found, call it completely immature, but when a cartoon says the word fuck, I go through the roof.
Right.
I go through the roof. I just love it.
Funny.
It's totally different than if a person says it, but for some reason, a cartoon going fuck is just hilarious to me.
No, you hitting that note on awesome cracks me up every time. And he does it to the
I don't know where
hill
that
at the table mates just to make me laugh.
They write it all in now. So that's also kind of cool about 200 episodes is the things that they know he says funny, that she says funny, and these kind of staples. You know, The Simpsons made it really famous, and Cowabunga and all that stuff. But we have our own kind of words that are kind of iconic to us anyway, and maybe some of the
we
fans.
didn't talk about this beforehand, but it occurred to me, we had an episode in this season that we're recording now where instead of thinking of like a new story idea, they thought about what they didn't think of. And they introduced two characters that nobody realizes have never met in the whole 10 years of doing the show. And I thought that was a really interesting take on, finding things in the show that hadn't been covered. And what was so funny about it was the whole family was on the same track of like, this is the most important thing, that these two meet and that this goes well,
It's crazy what they can do. You watch an episode of American Dad, and if you had to shoot it live, or like live action, what it would cost. Like going to Roger's home planet, well, that would cost a lot of money. So it's neat to, I don't know, for me, if we ever, I would like to do that though, do a live action.
That sounds
Come
fun.
on, right?
That sounds fun.
wow.
All I need to do is put on a suit.
I practically look like Francine.
I would have to shave. That's it, really.
Get some
I have to
glasses.
shave everywhere. Steve hasn't grown those yet.
What's it like for lead characters? You guys are in almost every, if not every episode. Principal Lewis isn't as present. Are you kind of thinking as an actor, what's my character arc, or I'm just here to be funny and that's kind of it?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. I mean, they throw him in sporadically. You have no idea what they're going to have him do. The fact that he's a principal of the school, that's pretty cool. The fact that he still has a job blows me away.
But you do other voices on the show.
Yes, and unfortunately, I can't remember what other characters I've done. They throw so many at me. I mean, I don't look at the material on
Trust me,
purpose.
he's been there.
A lot of the times, before I go into records, because I like the organic, my organic responses when I first see it right before I record, to keep it fresh. So these guys and the producers, the collaboration between them and the cast, this cast is phenomenal, and they're very welcoming, and they made me feel very welcome, as a recurring character. So it's really an honor to be part of that whole franchise.
You'll always be my principal.
Excuse us for a second. My wavy hair.
Is there? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I know you guys done musicals in a few episodes. Do you guys love doing the musicals, and do you want to do more?
I love every second of doing it.
So you do.
Every second. Just because it's where I started in music, and I love the '90s music and the R&B stuff they come up with. And we have a really great producer named Asa Ticone, who's just has written all the songs, and so it has a type of music. The American Dad has a type, and because it's all written by the same guy. And we have one coming up where it's just my character anyway is trapped in a locker, and everything that I do is sung in 7 like stings.
It's an opera.
It's beautiful. I mean, and it was the hardest thing I've ever freaking done on American Dad. And the whole thing is, so if I'm in Principal Lewis's office, I have to do his voice. So it's like, and Principal Lewis said, "Hey," and I'm trying to imitate you, Steve imitating you, Scott doing Steve, and that was I just love doing to music, and it was spectacular. So I would love it, and it's amazing how everyone in this cast can kind of sing. It's
well, I am.
I said kind of. I said kind.
No, it's true. I mean, Rachel is a professional singer. We all know Seth. Scott has recorded albums. Dee is a really good singer. But I am the non-singer. I sing in character, and I usually have to have some kind of help in the booth because it's like, where do I come in? I mean, I don't.
Do you sing on the show?